All right, so I just got back from watching The Machine, the latest film from Dwayne Johnson, also known as The Rock. And as far as I can tell, his first serious movie. At least the first serious movie he's made that I've seen. I'm sure there might be a couple more serious movies he's made in the past, but it's been a while. Dwayne Johnson's career lately has been a lot of, Red One, Red Notice, a lot of Reds. Jungle movies, Jungle Cruise, a couple Jumanji movies, Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, that sort of stuff. And he's been taking some criticism for just being in very blab, shallow movies that just aren't super interesting anymore, especially when you compare other famous wrestler turned actors, most prominently John Cena and Dave Bautista. John Cena is doing very well for himself, playing as Peacemaker with James Gunn in the DCU, and Dave Bautista is almost like a critic's darling. He's in a lot of, smaller movies, but also can have fun with some fun stuff that The Rock likes to do. So people are like, hey, Dwayne Johnson, what are you doing? Why aren't you being in this serious actor? Can you not do it? And so this movie kind of seems like Dwayne Johnson trying to prove that he can be in a serious movie and be considered, an actual actor instead of just a one-trick pony. So that has been the main focus of the movie. And the actual plot of the movie, which is a biopic on the life of UFC fighter Mark Kerr, has kind of taken a back seat to the fact that Dwayne Johnson is in a serious movie now. But when you go and watch the movie, it's actually pretty good. I didn't love it, and I'll get to why, but when you get rid of all the Dwayne Johnson noise and just try to watch the movie as it is, it's pretty decent. Again, I don't know anything about the world of wrestling. The only thing I know is what I know from, again, these wrestlers turned actors who, join the movies. And so then I kind of get to know a little bit of wrestling from there, but I'm not a wrestling fan by any stretch of the imagination. I might have mentioned this in my Iron Claw review, which was a movie I really enjoyed, more than this one. But that shouldn't hinder me from enjoying a movie about wrestling, right? That could be interesting, just in and of itself. And unfortunately, while this movie isn't awful or, bad by any stretch, it's pretty good. What stops it from being great is just, it's kind of generic. You take, Dwayne Johnson factor, you take that out of it, and it's just a normal sports drama movie. Any sort of conflict that a professional athlete struggles with in these serious sports dramas is presented here. You got drug abuse, you've got contentious relationships with his girlfriend, you have the drive of wanting to be the best, you have the struggle with this really competitive side that separates world-class athletes from the rest of us. They're just so hyper competitive, and sort of like the sort of aimlessness that some athletes feel when they reach success. It's like, well, what do I do now? Or maybe what happens when they, for the first time in their lives, are not successful? How do you pick yourself back up from then? And this movie covers it all. All of that happens, and I'm not saying that none of this stuff happened to Mark Kerr. They definitely did. But the movie doesn't really focus on one of those things in a lot of detail. I think maybe the drug aspect is what's focused on the most, in the first half at least. The contentious relationship is focused on in the second half. But I don't know, it just felt kind of broad, a little, like it didn't want to really, the movie's just sort of about a life and not really about a specific part of a person's life. So when it ended, I don't want to say it was an unsatisfying ending. It was very much like oh, okay, that was pretty interesting. And then I don't know if I'm going to think about this movie that much after I've seen it, which isn't great because The Iron Claw, which I saw 2 years ago, I still think about from time to time because that movie, hits you in the gut. It's so effective in its story and what it's trying to say. The Smashing Machine is kind of aimless, and the most interesting part of it, unfortunately, is the fact that it is Dwayne Johnson playing Mark Kerr, and he does his best trying to not be The Rock, like he is in all these other movies, and he really is trying to become someone else, like an actor normally does. But Dwayne Johnson is so distinct and so recognizable that you can't not see him. And so I don't want to say it was too distracting, but it always kind of felt like I'm watching The Rock be dramatic, which was interesting, but it didn't feel like I was watching Mark Kerr. And I'm not saying this is Dwayne Johnson's fault. I do really believe he's trying his best, and I don't think it's bad. He's putting up a good effort. It's just he's such a brand that I can't not see The Rock when I watch him. So all these things kind of combine into a kind of mediocre movie for me. Not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but not great. It's just like, all right. And that's kind of how I felt about The Smashing Machine. So if you are a fan of like UFC wrestling and you like Mark Kerr and you're interested, you probably already have seen it by now. But if you are just looking for a more adult movie, that more dramatic, I wouldn't say you would have to rush out to see this one because it is kind of a normal drama movie. Nothing really too special going on here, unless the idea of it being Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is super interesting to you and you want to see him act and be in a movie that he's almost never been in before. If that's super interesting to you, then yeah, I'd recommend you go watch it just to kind of get that experience. But yeah, those are my thoughts on The Smashing Machine.